everybody, and welcome back to our Nostalgic or Problematic series where we are talking about Dawson's Creek. We are on season 2, episode 9, and we're going to start doing twofers. So yes. We realize it's going to take us 800 years if we do not do that to make it through the entire show. So, funny disclaimer. If you follow us on social media, you already know some of this. We had 3+ hours of tech problems yesterday night. We tried to record at night for a special guest. Didn't happen. Thought we recorded this Dawson's.
Well, there is video.
Already.
There is video of it.
Yeah.
So we didn't imagine it.
Well, no. The sound did not work.
The sound, there's nothing. It's
So
blank.
So we've already talked about these episodes, and now we're re-talking about them. But I feel like we'll probably have some new things that pop up. But anyway,
That's true.
Just full stop honesty with you guys. We've already talked about these, and it didn't record our voices.
It did not. So
here we are.
Maybe our fans should do like a caption this, and it's like a video of us talking, but you can't hear us. It's like, Danny, I just had pizza for breakfast.
Or like dubbed voices.
Oh, God.
Right? That'd be so funny.
If we did like the Power Ranger, like, bah,
oh my
like
God, so funny.
That'd be really funny.
That would be funny.
It might turn out okay. But yes, so we've already talked about this, and the name of the episode is The Election.
Yep.
What is the summary?
All right. So this episode summary is, in their bid for student council, Andie and Joey face a vicious smear campaign. Jen tries to get Dawson to embrace being a teenager. That sentence is weird. Did I miss a word when I was writing it down?
Jen tries.
No, because it's all one sentence.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, that's what it's about.
Right. Oh, it's kind of a run-on if it is
a
one
little
sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So right before even the like opening number, we've got a Brady Bunch reference.
Yeah.
Which I loved. I thought that was really fun. And I said this yesterday when we recorded, but here we go. That's actually going to be the case with everything we're about to say. I wrote down opening song lyrics because I was going to look them up, but we did determine the words hearts in barrels.
Hearts in barrels. I thought it was hearts in buckets for a minute.
And she thought it was hearts in buckets. It's okay. So again, wouldn't recommend listening to it, but there are some interesting lyrics. If you're watching with us, I'm sure you've heard parts of it.
It's terrible.
It's bad.
We need Paula Cole.
We do. Okay. So then the regular part of the show begins. What?
The funny thing Dawson said in that little intro was when Dawson said, "I am raw and dark."
Yeah.
No, sir.
No, I'm sorry, Dawson.
Oh, you're not.
Never going to be. Well, okay. So then we've got Andie and Pacey, and I wrote down that I just thought it was so cute. They were in the school halls, and I said they were canoodling, holding hands, and just like it's just they're so comfortable around each other.
Well,
already.
it's just cute.
It's just adorable.
It's just precious. It's puppy love. Well, first love, whatever you want to call it.
First love, young love, whatever.
Because we're old married ladies, so I don't be walking down halls canoodling
or anywhere. Probably. Sorry. It's true. But it was cute when it was Andie and Pacey. I was like, you go, you two.
It was.
Okay, so then Dawson, is now writing this new script with this money he won, but like Joey's not going to produce it, so he's asked Jen to be his producer. But Jen is kind of got some tough love for him. Mm-hmm. And she's basically like, if you want to write about the teenage experience, you have to live it. Because her accusation is that he's like not really like doing normal teen stuff, like getting in trouble and rebelling and having sex and like all the things.
Yeah. And I wrote down like later in my notes, let me see what my words were. I wrote down like, why do we always have to change the vanilla, like quote unquote good teens or people just in general?
Yeah.
Like, I think of Sandy from Greece. Like, just let them be. He's fine. He's fine with it.
Yep.
He didn't feel like he's missing out now, but he is okay with it. Like, if he doesn't want to be doing all the things, that's okay. Like, not everybody has to be out partying and drinking.
Yeah, and this whole episode was that because people were coming at him for that and then coming at him because in the script the characters don't have sex.
Right.
And everyone who reads it's like, they really should like have sex. That would be more interesting. That would be more intriguing.
Yeah. And I think I agreed with him when he said, well, it's more interesting to have them not, because every movie you watch, that's what happens.
Especially around this time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of like the teen movies. And I mean, even before that, like in the 80s.
Hello,
even.
Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds.
Exactly. Well, I don't know.
16 Candles.
I haven't seen Porky's yet, but I am going to take your word for it.
That's going to be a summer movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited for
you
that.
Probably can.
You're like, wait as long as you
It's not good,
can.
but we'll get there.
We should do it after my birthday so I'm a little older and mature enough to handle the content.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. Okay, so here we go. Mitch comes over to the house to help Gail with some plumbing in the kitchen.
Fix the plumbing.
And the plumbing goes a little crazy. There's water squirting everywhere.
Does it now?
And he's in a white tight
t-shirt,
which first of all gets all wet.
Yes.
But then he takes it off.
He takes his shirt off. Yes. Now, I'm telling you, somebody on that writing team knew what they were doing this season, because there are thirst traps all over the place that were not there season 1. Like they capitalized on him being an attractive dad.
Sure.
But this season,
they're like, oh, right. Like he's hot and people think he's hot.
Yeah.
That's the feedback we're getting. So let's really like double down on this.
Was Mitch like the first like daddy of that time frame?
Ooh.
He may have been, because I can't think of any other like attractive, like quote unquote dads, quote unquote. I mean, he was a dad. I don't know why he's on that.
I feel like, not to make a negative connotation, but like the objectification of dads was not really a thing.
It wasn't
until Mitch.
It wasn't.
Even good looking ones.
Right.
They were just like, well, that's an old
but
dad.
they didn't cast a lot of good looking.
That's true.
They did with women, middle-aged women to be moms. But they didn't, like, not that they were bad looking. They just weren't, like, next level.
Right.
Hot.
Like he is.
Like, they were attractive, but they weren't, like, hot.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference.
Sure.
There's a difference.
Which one is Mitch?
Well, we know. But also, let's talk about the weirdness about them banging away on the kitchen table and Dawson coming in.
Yeah.
Hello. First of all, their bedroom is right down the hall.
It's their house.
Like, if you know your kid's about to come home, maybe not, like, that's weird to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, not caring, like, if you're just mid-thrust and your teenage son walks
and there's, like, no wall. It's, like, all open. Like, yeah. But then I thought the camera work was weird, because Dawson sees what they're doing and it registers and he still stands there.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, has this weird look on his face, which I guess is supposed to translate to, like, oh, yay, I'm happy. My parents are whatever. But, like, I would be running, screaming for the hills.
Yeah. I mean, like
hello?
I don't care what kind of sex positive house you live in. I'm pretty sure most teenagers don't want to see their parents banging.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Totally agree.
Like, if they know it's happening, fine. But seeing their bits and pieces flopping together.
No.
Sorry. That was gross.
I don't want to think of anyone's bits and pieces, let alone like people related to me or like my own kids seeing mine. Like, no, thank you.
Oh,
no
man.
flopping. So that was just odd.
Everybody's listening like, man, they've got some boring sex lives.
I'm like, no canoodling ever.
No canoodling.
No flopping.
No flopping parts.
Nothing. Nothing at all. Everything is buttoned up all the time. Personal space is recognized 24/7.
Oh, man.
I think we've talked about this before. Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
No, I didn't.
Well, there's a character named Tobias who's a never nude. So even when he showers, he wears
so
jean
funny.
cutoffs.
Oh my God, get out.
So like his wife comes in and is like kind of arguing with him and she pulls his towel because he's got a towel wrapped around his waist and he's like, oh no. And he's wearing cutoffs.
Oh
and,
God, that's so funny.
But that's how
Never
I feel.
Nude.
That's how I feel.
That's great. Okay, so before we get too far, because this is all about like class office. Did you ever run for class office?
No, I never did. I did participate in student government and like helped plan
what does that mean?
Events. I think I just went to like the meetings and like helped like with prom and committees.
So you were on like
committees
and stuff,
and things, but I was never an officer.
Yeah.
No.
Well, Well, you know my story, but I'll tell it. So I did run for class office, and it was because it's me, and I have horrible timing for lots of things in life. Nothing can just be normal. The election actually, well, I think like the campaign started for like, you have like 2 weeks or something, you hang posters and stuff. But the day I had to give the speech was like a week after me and my serious little boyfriend broke up. And I've told y'all about him before. We were on a break when I smooched on some boy from another school and then didn't tell him about it.
Yeah.
So guess what? Karma came back to bite me in the ass because I had to stand up in front of our whole senior class, which was not small. There's like 500 people, I'd say, and give my little speech. And all his little friends were sitting right in the front, glaring at me. I did not win, but I did get into a runoff with another girl. And I think if I wouldn't have been in the place I was, I may have won.
So you kind of had a smear campaign of your own doing.
That I did myself.
A smear campaign against yourself.
Yeah.
Good job.
Right. Because that was also, I think, the same week that I slapped his friend. So.
But I would have thought that would have earned you votes.
Not if you were on his side.
That's true.
I mean, it was close. I mean, I was in a runoff.
I mean, the fact that you're right. So if none of that had happened, that other drama, you would have won, I bet.
I think I would have.
Yeah.
I think the people who didn't vote for me that made it close would have if it was the other way around.
I agree.
But it's fine, guys.
It's okay. Neither here nor there. Ancient history.
I know.
Ancient history. Okay. So speaking of them, the people running against each other. So if you haven't watched it and you're just listening, Andie decides to run for class president, sophomore class president. And then she gets Joey to be her running mate. But Joey's very like hesitant because she's like, oh, they're going to drag like my family history through the mud, like her dad and everything. But Andie's like all positive about it. So the first little inkling that we get that there probably is going to be some smearing of family things is when Abby and Chris Wolf, who are running together, go to Joey's restaurant to talk about their campaign because it's always deserted there, according to Abby. And they go there and Abby just kind of gets nasty with Joey, and Joey pours a pitcher of water over Abby's head. And instantly drenched. It was a huge pitcher of water.
That was hilarious. I know. We should not validate that
and
behavior.
Abby had those little baby curls.
Oh, yeah.
I did like her hair in this episode, but they were like, it reminded me of my girls that have the really, really curly hair. Hers was like curly and iron, but like, as soon as it's wet, it's like instantly flat for like 2 minutes. And then it just kind of creeps back up into the curl.
Well, hers was definitely curling iron.
Hers was curling iron, so hers wasn't going to come back.
So have you ever put water in somebody's face? Put water. Have you ever thrown water in somebody's face?
No.
Dump water on somebody's head?
Never.
Okay.
I've never done that, Danny. I've never smacked anyone. I've never punched anyone.
Pulled anybody's hair?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah, remember I told you the only fight I was in.
Oh, that's right.
Real fight. Yeah, I grabbed her ponytail.
So the smack was the friend. The real fight
was a boy. And I've slapped a few boys across the face.
Sure. That's fair.
So,
you're small though.
I know.
You're smaller. And so I wonder like if that has something to do with it. Cause I don't even when I'm my maddest, I don't ever feel like physically intimidated necessarily.
It's like the small dog syndrome.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want you to get offended.
Probably.
So my littlest dog is the meanest and loudest, literally. And will bite your ass.
Yeah, see, that's probably it.
My big ones that could actually hurt you would never bite you.
The thing is, I'm not a violent person, even though my past may say. And I will shrink away from confrontation. I do not like it. But if I have to do it, it will happen. But there are some things that will send me over the edge. Like if you call me a slut, then you're getting slapped across the face.
Sure. Fair enough.
Just saying.
Fair enough.
You will. Even if I jump up and slap you.
Even if I need a step stool to do it, I will do it.
But anyway, okay. Yeah. So let's talk about like the Chris thing. It's so funny to me because it's so high school how people could be like all cool with each other one minute and hanging out. They were all at his house. They spent the night there. And then all of a sudden he doesn't like them now. And he's against them. He wants to tear them down.
Yeah. And
so high school.
To like tell everyone everything. And then like, and that's like what with him and Joey and Andie. But then it's like him and Jen aren't even like a thing or, well, I guess, yeah, because he comes later to the auditions for Joey's thing. And it's like,
well, they decided that when they were together, they were, remember, he was like, are you cool with this? Like, it's just a casual hookup.
Yeah. But I agree with you. That is it's so high school where it's like,
it's so accurate.
Best friends, but not anymore. Yeah. But best friends again, but also not anymore.
Hot and cold.
Hot and cold. And like strange, like alliances, like him and Abby. It's actually a great alliance.
I know.
To be honest. But it's like, oh,
but also,
where did that come from?
Why is he sweating her so hard?
I don't
know. If he's like this person who sleeps around all the time and gets all this action,
why does he care?
Why is he so desperate for her?
Well, she's probably hard to get.
And also, do we really think that Abby would have been like, ugh, you're gross? No. Because she's been like hot to trot for lots of boys and men around.
I don't think that's very believable.
Yeah.
Unless she's just, Abby knows how to push people's buttons. And maybe she knows that by like kind of acting like she's not attracted to him, he's going to be more attracted to her. It's almost like a game.
Oh, like, yeah.
Like she does think he's attractive, but I don't know. I can't tell with her or that storyline. Okay, so now we have to get to the part where Jen is trying to convince Dawson to steal.
Yeah.
But it's not like something Dawson would want. And she even says, she's like, oh, this will benefit me too, because it's like a lipstick.
Yeah, why are they always stealing lipsticks? Because that's what Abby stole last time. I guess it's easy to steal the lipstick.
Maybe that's just like what people stole.
I mean, it's little. It fits in your pocket.
It's little. It fits in your pocket. You could almost, except that it's packaged, you could almost have like.
But they didn't used to be.
Yeah, so you can almost have the disbelief, oh, I had this. This is mine. Like you almost could back then.
Yeah.
Because they can't like go back on a video camera and say, no, we saw you put it in your pocket.
Katie. Yeah. You need to tell your shoplifting story.
Okay, so I told this yesterday when there was no sound.
We don't have to keep saying that. They know that.
Yeah, I know. Okay. By the way, guys, I already told
nobody
this story,
heard it.
but only Danny knows, so now you're going to know. So I have two shoplifting stories. The first, when I was like 4 or 5, is just what Jen described in the episode where she's like, didn't you ever want a piece of candy?
Steal a candy, yeah.
Steal a candy. So I did. It was like those little caramels that are individually plastic wrapped. I wanted one. My mom said no. So I remember sticking it in my waistband. I get all the way home. And I either unwrapped it right in front of her or she was on to me and like paying attention, but she saw me unwrap it. And before I could put it in my mouth, she grabbed it, put it back in the wrapper and took me back to the store.
Nice.
And I had to like give it back, which like obviously.
Were you crying?
I was crying. I had to say sorry.
Oh, they should have let you have it.
I think they tried. Mom was like, no, you can just throw that right in the trash.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she can't have it, which I get,
But you obviously didn't learn your lesson because.
I did not. Because then, okay, so very high school, I had this, I wouldn't even call her a friend of me. She was just someone that didn't like me from day one. I transferred schools and like was making friends and we had the same circle of friends. And she just from day one was like, this girl, no.
Okay.
Like did not like me, actively spoke bad about me, whatever. But it was one of those things where it's like everyone loved her. And everyone loved me, but like she hated it. Anyway, it was weird.
Really? Everybody loved you? I wish I've never had that kind of like popular.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody because she didn't. I mean,
Katie's like, everybody loved me.
Everybody loved me, but also her. Right? So let's put it this way.
I did not have that high school experience.
Like either of us was like a hated person.
Got it.
Like we were you know how they say sometimes people rub you the wrong way because they're like you? I don't know if it was that sort of thing where we were similar.
Maybe.
But anyway, I mean, it lasted into college. Like,
damn.
We went to the same college, and obviously you don't have to run in the same circles, and we didn't. But anytime I would run into her, she would either straight up pretend like I wasn't there or like say something nasty.
Damn.
Yeah. Anyway, this person, for some reason, we're at lunch one day and she's talking about how easy it is because at that time you would go get your disposable cameras developed. This was like late 90s and you go pick up your photos. Well, at Meijer, so many people, Meijer is similar to like a Walmart or a Target. It's regional in the Midwest. You would go pick up, there were so many people picking up pictures. They were literally just in like big bins, alphabetized.
And you would pay for it.
And you grab it and you just go pay for it.
Yeah.
Just like anything else. So she was like, oh, you can just like put it in your purse. Like it's not got a scanner. So my dumb ass is like, oh, I'm going to try that.
Oh my God.
What? this is the person that I'm taking advice from.
Right.
So I go by myself. Purse is completely empty. I still remember the shirt I had on. It was this tank top I loved. I should find a picture. It was like black with like little red roses on it, this little tank top. And I have this black purse, literally nothing in it. No money, no wallet. I think I was
so
carrying my car keys because I had driven there.
No wallet or nothing?
Nothing.
Where's your license?
I guess I left it in the car.
Oh.
I have no idea. I just thought, oh, the emptier my
in
purse.
A purse.
Like, I don't know. So not slick. I find my pictures. I look, there's like nobody around, stick them in my purse. But then I'm like, oh, I can't just like walk out. That's like super obvious. So I start walking around the store. Well, I noticed this guy kind of like, I keep seeing him and I start to get creeped out. He's just in like a flannel shirt, whatever, maybe in his 20s. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel weird. So I'm like, I better just go. So I go to walk out. He steps in front of me with like a security badge. He had seen me take them.
Yeah, he was
was just going to see if I was going to like actually take them out or was I going to take them up front and pay for them. Well, then when he saw me walking out, he stopped me, took me to this little back room. I was 17. So they call my dad. Anyway, so it was this whole thing where they were like, we're not going to press charges, but you're on this like watch list now. If you ever take so much as like a pack of gum,
blacklisted,
or whatever, like we will arrest you, blah, blah, blah. My parents were getting ready to go on a trip. So like my dad came really quick to like bail me out of Meyer jail.
Oh my God.
And he was so upset. And then they left. I don't think he ever told my mom, or if he did, she just didn't say anything to me.
What?
But she would have. So
That's
both
wild.
mom and dad are like, man, we're raising a klepto.
Well, you're not a very good one.
I'm horrendous.
You got caught both times.
Attempted twice. Got caught both times.
Well, the only thing I used to steal, and it was on a regular basis.
Oh, God.
First of all, I also used to steal money from my mom all the time. This is so bad. And I think my sister did it too. But my mom would go, remember when you would have to go to the bank and like cash checks to get cash?
Right.
Right. In the 80s. My mom would go and like get a whole bunch of cash to last for like weeks or whatever. I don't know what she did. I'm assuming she like used it to go get groceries and whatever.
My family used to use cash for that stuff too.
That's before nobody used credit cards to pay for groceries. No, we didn't have debit cards.
There wasn't debit cards. That was the difference. Right. So like a debit card now, it literally takes my money immediately, which is great.
But we didn't have that. So you either paid cash or you wrote a check, and not everywhere took checks.
Correct.
So anyways, I would wait until she would get this the big like deposit slip full of cash, and I would just go in there and slip myself a 20 here and there. Listen, she never knew I did it.
Oh my gosh. Right. Probably because she got so much at once.
That was my regular basis of stealing money.
Okay.
And I validated it in my head somehow. I don't know. But when I was in college, I went to college in a rural like small town in Louisiana, and we had to go grocery shopping at like a super Walmart. Mm-hmm. That was like what we had. Well, my roommate Beth and I discovered when we would go in to go grocery shopping, we would get a donut from the bakery and a Coke, and we would have ourselves a nice little snack as we grocery shopped, and then have to pay for it because the donut was gone and so was the Coke. And we just throw the Coke bottle away, throw the donut wrapper away, never paid for it. I probably owe them $400 in Cokes and donuts
and Cokes.
Yeah, I'm serious.
That is crazy.
But don't worry, Walmart's not hurting.
No.
It was kind of you know what? Thinking back, it was kind of a stick it to the man moment.
Is that what we're going to go with?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. I love it. You're like, even back then, I was showing Walmart what's up.
No,
even though they never knew I
got
did it.
3 times as much money from me, then they're not suffering, guys.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
That wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it because I was hungry and broke.
Exactly. Right. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Anyway, all right. Moving on from our klepto past.
Yes, let's move on from that.
Okay, so when all goes awry, when they're doing their speeches and Andie runs to the bathroom, why were there so many flyers in the bathroom?
It was like flyer wallpaper.
It was crazy. Have you ever been in a bathroom where there's that much information?
I've never been in anywhere ever that there were that many flyers.
I mean, it was every free surface, and then they're all over the floor, and I'm like, what the hell?
Do you think it's because it was the election episode? Was it all election stuff?
No.
It was just stuff cluttering.
It was
up
just
the
random
walls.
shit.
It was distracting from the scene.
I know,
because it's like, they're in a bathroom? What's happening? I did like in that scene. So Andie, because Abby's like nasty during their little campaign speeches. So Andie runs to the bathroom crying. So Pacey comes in and he says to her, like, every family's dysfunctional. It's the
90s.
Yeah,
I wrote that
I
down
thought that
too.
was really, really cute. Like,
well, because like that, the 90s, I feel like on TV was the first time they really showed what a lot of families were going through.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you think back, even in the 80s, we see like the nuclear family or, you know, whatever. The 90s was the first time it was like, yeah, some people got fucked up shit going on. Like, and here it is. Like,
right.
Not everybody, I mean, most people don't have that quote unquote traditional family that you saw on sitcoms, right?
Right.
So I think that was an A+.
I thought that was really good. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, so then we have to talk about this phrase I've never heard till this episode.
Oh God, I know.
When Mitch is talking to Dawson, and Dawson's like, yeah, basically like, oh, you and Mom are working things out. I saw you, whatever. Mitch is like, no, it was a sex slip.
That just sounds hilarious.
Sex slip. And he goes, no, Dawson, it was a sex slip.
That's your Mitch voice?
Good. Yeah, that's my Mitch voice.
It's so hard for Katie to do a low voice. Oh my gosh.
I sound like I'm growling.
I know.
But I'm not.
Oh man. I've never heard of a sex slip. I mean, I've heard of like, but I get it. I know what he means. Like where you're I mean, there have been times when I've been in breakups and it was hard to break the ties and you're kind of like, yeah, we're done, but maybe we'll just have this one little time.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah. So I get it. But sex slip sounds gross.
It sounds weird. I've never heard that until now, or maybe the first time I saw the show, but
the things I'm picturing in my head are not what he meant.
Like, right? No. Oh,
but there's another word that was said a lot that
that was in the next one.
Oh, it was?
That's in the next one.
Okay, well, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, I was like,
we're almost done.
Where is it? Okay.
We're almost done with this one.
But we have to pause now and talk a little more in depth about this scene with Andie and Jack when she's staring out her window and he brings up her mental health.
Yeah.
And tells her she should get back on her meds.
Right.
So that's the first time as an audience we realize, she's had something to treat, which makes complete sense in general, and then her family circumstances. What did you think about the framing of the talking about the mental health in this episode with Andie?
Well, I mean, I think it was good. I think there was listen, it was the late 90s. I will say, I feel like they were one of the first shows to talk about it, like, especially with teenagers.
Right.
And I do think it was necessary and important because mental health has a huge stigma, but it still does, unfortunately. Like,
it does.
We've come a long way, but we also haven't. And so, and I feel like we're on this pendulum backswing right now with so many things, and that's one that is going backwards. But I think that's good, and I'm glad that it was being addressed.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too. Yeah, and
that's all really.
And it was like you could see that Andie was resistant to admitting that she needed the help.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if you've ever had mental health struggles and you've had to go on medication, because not everybody does, but a lot of us do. That's the tricky part, is because you start to feel better because the medicine is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And so you're like, oh, well, I'm fine now. Because she kept saying, I don't need it. I'm fine. Because you are fine for a while. And then your body's chemistry switches back without that medication. And you're going to start slipping right back into your struggles. And I think that's a very common thing. I know I have done that to you in the past where I'm like, oh, I feel good. Let me get off this meds. And then like, a month later, I'm like, oh God, I feel terrible. Like,
yeah. So that I thought that the way that they framed all that was really good. Okay, so then I say, switching to a different scene, because Jen is still trying to make Dawson a teen or whatever she's doing. I said, why did the Dawson and Jen storyline have to go sexual? But then it doesn't.
Okay, this is the part that I'm on Dawson's side, guys. Note this down.
Uh-oh.
Mark the history.
Write it down.
Okay, so when they are skinny dipping in the creek,
in Dawson's Creek, hello,
hello, I have to understand his confusion because Jen has been throwing herself at him for months now. Okay, that's the first thing. Not that you can't change your mind, you can, but I can understand why he's confused. Then it's her idea to go skinny dipping. They're naked teenagers in close proximity. It's not like they're like
alone.
Yeah, alone.
Secluded place.
And she just asked him, have you ever had a sex dream about me? Well, she didn't say it that way. And then admits that she's had them about him. And so he tries to kiss her and she's like, that's crossing the line. And I'm like, and he's like, and he doesn't push it or anything.
No, he's like, oh, okay.
But he's like, I'm really confused. I'm like, yeah, like that is confusing.
Yeah.
So I'm
weird.
on his side.
It was written kind of strange. It was
I do feel like it was written
It was
weird.
like making Jen sort of this sexual being from a writer's perspective.
Yeah, but then halting the brakes, I don't know, is weird.
But then also being like, oh, but she can, like, almost like trying to take a stance of some sort, but it didn't make sense. Like she can,
it was very weird.
She can say no at any point, which she can,
of course.
But it was like in real life. But sure, maybe stuff like that does happen. But like for the storyline, it didn't make sense.
But also, it wasn't like she was into it and then changed her mind.
Right.
It was like she was like, "That's crossing the line," and she was almost like, "How dare you for not understanding that?" And it's like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do you see what's happening? Okay,
yeah, it was weird.
But also on that note, TPing. I love that they went TPing a house. And did you ever do that as a teenager?
No. Never did it.
What?
Never TP'd.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my school had a tradition, my high school, every homecoming week we had White Wednesday. And this, God, I'm sure it's probably not still happening because everybody's losing their minds these days about kids doing things. But I mean, my sister did it, and before her, it was done. I don't know why it's a tradition. It's the weirdest tradition, but everybody would go TPing houses, and cops just kind of looked the other way unless the people whose house you were TPing called them.
Then they have to.
Like they wouldn't just pull over on the side of like if they saw you TPing a house, they wouldn't like. But my mom was fine with it, but I had to clean it all up before I went to school in the morning because it's a mess. Like, and it goes everywhere, and if it rains.
Oof,
it's disgusting and it kills your grass and all stuff. So my mom actually went, I think she was actually coming home from somewhere, and my friends were TPing, and she came out and they were like, oh, and she's like, oh no, go ahead. Danny has to clean this up in the morning before school anyway. So then they got me even worse.
Yeah.
But it was also like a thing, like if nobody TP'd your house, you were like, womp womp.
Yeah. You're like, oh, no one cares about me.
Yeah.
That's how I would feel.
Yeah. And so, but my senior year, got into the school and TP'd the school. Ooh. So that was not good. That was before cameras and because there was like a courtyard situation.
Okay.
So anyways.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's my TP story. But moving on because we still have another episode to talk about.
We do. So
but we're not done yet.
All I have left on this one is when Pacey plays that little trick on Abby. When they're in the office. And it's like so dumb, but it's also so Pacey where like he knows she's about to say something nasty about everyone. So they're in the office or whatever. He pushes the little intercom button, but she doesn't notice somehow, even though she's right next to him.
I know.
And she's like, these half-wits and everyone's stupid and I'm great. And so then all of a sudden it's like, oops, she's not going to be class president now. And Pacey's like, I got you. And I was like,
she would have noticed.
Okay. Abby's a little smarter than that. That's part of her issue. She's just too smart.
Yeah, she's a smart villain.
I thought it was cute when Joey and Jack were holding hands. I loved the cordless phone that Andie answered in her bathroom.
I know.
It was like that black, slick, like, that was really awesome. And then, when she opened, she being Andie, she's looking in the mirror. She's crying. You can tell she's just having like a breakdown moment. She opens the medicine cabinet and grabs some pills. Yeah. And before you can tell what they are, I panicked for a second because oh my goodness.
Bless you.
I'm so sorry. Caught it. I will wash my hands after this episode.
We'll pause it in a minute because I have to pee.
It. Okay, good. We'll pause. But I thought maybe we were going to have like an OD situation because I didn't know. Is she taking one for her mental health or is this like some other kind of pill that like is going to be a mess? But thankfully, it was just, you see her take the one pill and you assume it's to treat her depression or whatever issues she has going on.
Which, I mean, I felt like that was, again, a good scene because you do have that. I mean, the reason why you're reluctant to take the medication is because of the stigma that surrounds it, especially because she has a parent who's struggling with mental health problems and she doesn't want to be like her parent, right?
Yes.
I can understand that. Like I've been there and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm fine. And so that emotion, and then like she's on the phone with Pacey and she's like, and then she finally is like, okay, I gotta get my life together.
Gotcha.
I will say too, I appreciate that the show shows males crying often, because it really helps, especially, I mean, usually it's Dawson, but we've seen Mitch cry. We see Pacey cry in the next few episodes. And it's done in a way that just is very natural. It's not like, oh my God, you're crying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not made a big deal out of it. Just happens, just like it does when females cry. So I appreciate that the writers did that.
Yeah. It does seem like the people who are in the scenes with them, when that happened, just make space for it.
Right. Like nobody's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Which, y'all, for the late 90s, that's kind of a big deal. Like nowadays, it's not. Like I feel like a lot of that toxic masculinity,
I mean, it's
again,
it's
pendulum
there,
swing.
But yeah. Well, that's true.
we're swinging right back into it. It would have been a
big deal to see that.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been. And speaking of that, in that final scene where Jen is inexplicably sitting on the floor
doing her homework by the sink,
by the kitchen sink.
In the kitchen.
It's like, what? But anyway, that's where she is when Dawson walks in and he's having a moment, and I wrote down, he says to Jen, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And Jen says, thanks for letting me.
Yeah.
And I felt that because I think it's hard to let people into that.
Yeah.
And people appreciate it sometimes when you do.
Right.
Because then they feel like you're including me in what you're going through and I care about you, as opposed to like you're putting up a wall or pretending to be whatever. You know, and everyone has to process things however they need to process it. But I just thought her saying thanks for letting me was really sweet.
It was.
And I felt that. All right, we're going to pause and then we're going to
pause and then we're going to do episode 10.
Yep. Be right back. Not that you'll miss us, because we'll literally be 1 second and we're back.
1 second. Okay.
Great. We're back now.
We're back
for
again.
Season 2, episode 10, entitled High Risk Behavior.
Ooh, what does that mean? Let's find out.
All
right. As Dawson's new film exposes his uncertainty over his relationship with Joey, Pacey and Andie explore the idea of having sex. Ooh, Jack offers to help Joey salvage an art class assignment by posing in the nude. We have so much to say.
I cannot with this.
We're going to keep it short.
We're going to keep it short. Okay.
All right.
So opening scene, it's Dawson and Pacey. This is before the intro song, looking into each other's eyes, saying these really meaningful things about being in love with each other, which immediately, they're just probably doing Dawson's script.
Yeah.
And they were. And so Pacey's critique of Dawson's script is you write in too many syllables.
Yes.
Which
monosyllabic. What does he say? That's wrong.
Yeah, monosyllabic.
What did I say? Not that.
Monosyllabic.
Never ends.
I don't know. I think the way I said, I don't know.
You're right. That's correct.
But he carries the joke through the scene. So later on, when Dawson says something like, discombobulated, Pacey is thinking about, he's like, discombob. Yeah, that's too many syllables, Dawson. This is what I'm talking about. And it was just a really cute scene.
It's funny.
But, again, Pacey right away is telling Dawson, you gotta,
I know.
Why don't the main characters have sex? Blah, 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 blah. And then that theme carries through the whole episode.
Well, I will say, like I said already, I mean, his opinion of leaving it out, I'm good with. He doesn't want to, you don't have to put it in if you don't want to. Also, I hate it when people try to control your creativity.
Yeah. Totally.
I don't like that. When we first started our podcast, we had lots of people close to us, husbands, and friends and stuff, telling us, "Oh, y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. Y'all need to do that." Not that that's bad ideas, but also we knew what we wanted to do,
right?
So it was thanks, but no thanks,
and it's people being excited,
of course,
that sort of thing. Totally. And I wrote, I think I've told you this, maybe I haven't. I wrote a screenplay a few years ago.
Yeah.
That I've revisited a few times, and I did get feedback from people. And that was the most interesting part, was being people who had maybe good ideas, but they didn't quite fit what I wanted. Or the comments I got over and over that then I had to revisit and be like, well, I need to think of this as the viewer or the reader, because 5 people said the same thing. But in this case, 5 people say it to Dawson, and I think he should keep his thing. So I don't know, but
it's but then you have to think, who are you creating for? Is he creating for, just the standard audience, or is he creating for the people out there who feel like he does?
Right.
Or for people to think of a different perspective.
Right.
And not, which is what I think he's doing. He's trying to not do what is expected of a teen movie.
Agree.
Drama.
Agree.
Whatever the hell he's doing.
Team Dawson on this one. And
I know.
2 episodes in a row.
I don't know. It's not going to last, guys. It's not going to last. But, because Jen says, what did she say? I wrote it down. Sexy always will win over nice. I don't agree.
I don't agree either. I don't agree.
And I think of Can't Hardly Wait.
Ethan Embry.
Yeah. He was cute, but he wasn't sexy.
No.
He was awkward and weird, but he
adorable.
Was so nice. Because I feel like, I guess I've always felt this way. I feel like people's personalities, I never know if I'm attracted to somebody except Dawson's dad.
Except Mitch. I thought you were going to say, except my husband of 22 years.
Well, no, obviously. But but even with him, I never know if I'm fully attracted to somebody until I get to know them a bit. I need to ask you some questions, need to know some things. And then the attraction happens for me. That's just me.
Right.
Most of the time. Now, of course, there are times where I'm oh, that person's super hot, blah, blah, blah. But for me to feel truly attracted to somebody, I gotta know what's up with you.
No, same.
Because if you're a dick, then that takes, I don't care if you are Dawson's dad. If you're a jerk or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just funny.
And he's super old by now. So I'm okay with just remembering him from the late 90s. Yeah. And people are probably that's not nice. But anyway.
No, he's still
You know what I'm saying? Because nothing can put a fire in the loins out quicker than somebody being a dick.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah.
You are.
Okay.
That was just a very direct way to say that.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It's there. So speaking of loins then, this whole scene where Pacey comes up to Andie's locker and it's just hey, my HIV test was negative. And I'm like, what?
I mean, good for him, but also...
So again, I think timing is everything. Yeah. Obviously, the writers were trying to make a point.
Right.
It's okay to get tested for this thing. Pacey did it. It just felt very okay. But then it leads into a conversation about sex, which this was the word we were talking about earlier in the other episode.
Yes.
Several times. Pacey at least uses the word scrump. SCRUMP.
Scrump.
To mean sex.
I do not ever recall using that word as sex slang.
I have never heard that word. I was so he said it once and I was oh, Pacey, just being silly, just making
I don't
stuff
think
up.
that was a thing in the 90s.
And then he kept saying it and I was is this a word?
Was this the writers trying to make their own fetch?
They're trying. Scrump is never going to happen, writers. I mean, obviously,
yes, it is.
I don't know if you knew that word outside of this context.
I know.
Please let us know.
I never heard
crazy.
That until this episode.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. But that being said, their whole conversation about the HIV test and scrumping or whatever was very honest and open and just not embarrassed to talk about it, but also not embarrassed to be oh, I don't know if I really want to. It just seemed very vulnerable, but safe. It was a safe conversation.
It was also super cute how they were well, do you want to? I don't know. Do you want to? You answer first. It was really cute.
It was cute. So, I liked it. And then in the hallway, Chris Wolf asks Abby if she's going to try out for Dawson's movie.
Yeah.
And Chris is all into it. He's oh, it's going to be on the film circuit, blah, blah, blah. And she tells him that he has Brad Pittitis. Because he's just I guess, infected with this Hollywood wannabe thing. I thought that was so funny.
So good.
She really does have the best lines.
She does.
And then the auditions themselves, it felt
funny.
Very High School Musical because it was a montage of people.
Yeah.
And then they would flip through the same people. And it was just every 90s hairstyle,
fashion,
outfit,
trope.
The cheerleader chewing the gum.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh. And if you've ever been in an audition, you felt it. You're oh man. Or if you've ever been on the other side of the audition table, which I have been, Dawson and Jen, that feeling too. And obviously these all these people work in Hollywood that put the show together. So they got that right. Yeah. I felt they did a really good job on that.
Well, let's talk about Joey and the nude.
Oh, God.
Not Joey and the nude, but Joey and the nude.
And the nude. Okay. First question.
Yeah.
I wrote here. Was Joey a minor child at a class where there was an adult naked male that she was supposed to draw?
I didn't even think about that till you brought it up, but that does give creepy vibes.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's art, et cetera, but she's 16.
Yeah. And feasibly, like in real life, she hasn't seen that for herself.
And I doubt that there's a guardian there with her.
Yeah. Because it was my understanding it's like a college level class.
Yeah.
Right? Which, you know, high schoolers can take college level courses. But I was just sort of like, are we to believe that like this, she really did this? Maybe did people do this? I'm so confused.
I don't know. It did seem weird. It was the 90s.
Yeah. So then she's trying. So also, she's drawing the naked man at school at a picnic table outside.
Well, I think she was looking at it.
Yeah. Oh, no. I thought she finishing it.
I don't know.
Because Dawson came up.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jack spills coffee or something all over it. And
so the only solution,
according to Jack,
is for him to pose for her nude. Now, the World Wide Web did exist. Also, so did public libraries where you could look up pictures of medical whatever you need to. If you needed to find a picture of a nude man
to just kind of copy or...
But like, no. Like they were very insistent about like how she's like, well, you can't recreate the light and the whatever if it's not a real person. Listen, what? It was such a weird... It was just odd. And then, of course, they use it for like the, you know, the Titanic reference.
Yes. He really did look like Kate Winslet on that couch, though. Like his body angle and the pose, and like how like the angle she was at drawing him or sketching him or painting or whatever she was doing, like was the same as like Jack from Jack from the Titanic. Yes.
And let's just go ahead and talk about how horrendous that drawing was.
You guys,
it's the same.
Laughed out loud. It only was on the screen for like 2 or 3 seconds.
It's so bad.
And I was
but it comes back next episode.
Oh, I get to see it again.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Well, like you said, it's the same person who drew
the Dawson face
when she was like, I drew the one person I love or whatever. And it's like this terrible picture
it's so
of Dawson.
Terrible. Wait, do you think they made it look amateur on purpose?
I feel like no.
Okay.
Because they spend a lot of time having the audience believe that Joey's very gifted.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think that's what makes it funny too.
Yeah.
It's like, so you had me where I'm like, wow, she's like, and then you're showing us these supposed finished products.
Like a sick person.
And like someone and some like art professor is like, oh, you have so much talent. Like, what? These are terrible. These are terrible drawings.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay. So then I had another little laugh when Andie and Pacey are talking. And actually, we have to go back before the laugh because I had an ex or a problematic when Pacey grabs Andie's meds in the
yeah,
she picks up her antidepressant and of course runs into Pacey there.
Yeah.
And he tries to see what's in the bag and she says no. And then he takes the bag and then he's like, oh, this is Xanax. Isn't that used for anxiety and depression? Kind of like Prozac.
And it was like a little commercial like weird in the middle of it.
But it made me so mad. And then she lies and says it's her mom's, which even if it was her mom's, it's not his.
It's none of your damn business
to look at or grab. If someone is holding something and they say, I don't want you to see it, that's it.
Yeah.
Especially in a drugstore.
It's not cute.
It's not cute.
That's not a cute look.
And then in like the little tussle of like him grabbing, they end up next to the condoms.
Yeah. Which made me giggle because she picked up some ribbed condoms.
Yeah.
And she was like, designed for for her pleasure. And she was like, how would they know? And I'm like, preach, sister.
How would they?
And he said, maybe a woman designed them. Okay, maybe, but nah.
But no.
Because it's still not doing what it needs to be doing. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
Anyway.
Which Andie wouldn't know yet, according to the storyline. Okay, so this is
and obviously Pacey wouldn't either.
Right.
I mean, he was with the teacher, but like, you're still... Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about teacher.
No, don't bring her up ever again. So... the thing that made me giggle then when they leave the store, because we know Andie is one of the oldest cast members.
Oh,
no shade. She's like 29 probably when she filmed this one. And she has this line where she says, she's talking about being a virgin and sex for the first time. And she's like, I've waited 16 years. And you can even just see the actress's face like, lying terribly. Like she's like, I've waited 16
whole years.
Or almost like 16 whole years.
Because I am a teenager.
Because I am 16 years old, damn it. Yes, I am.
Like she was almost 30.
I know. It
That's
made me
crazy
giggle.
Wild.
And nothing wrong with that, but it just, you could just even tell in her delivery that she was like, this is not believable.
Do you think all the younger castmates had her buy them alcohol?
Probably.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, probably.
She was like the one person who was like a legit grown up.
Yeah, Andie McPhee, and they're buying alcohol for all her underage castmates. I love that. Okay, so then back to the nude art sketching. When Joey talks about how art makes her feel.
Oh, yeah.
I loved this. Like, as
I love that metaphor.
Yeah, that was really cool. We'll get to that next one that I know you're going to talk about. But when she's saying how, like, every time she makes art, it's like taking a risk or doing something dangerous. It's like a thrill. And it did really make me think of performing because every time you audition for something, you're putting yourself out there and you're doing something dangerous, or even like you get the part and now you're performing. Well, now you have all these choices you have to make and all these things. And it's a constant exercise in creation and vulnerability. And so I thought when she sort of explained like how she enjoyed art that way, it spoke to me. I thought they described that really well. But what else did they talk about? Speaking of descriptions.
Jack had this giant metaphor, and we've only got a couple more things to say, and then we got to do another recording.
Oh, my Lord.
Jack was like, had this deep, deep metaphor for what, sex was like the first time. He's had it one and only time.
One time. Yep.
And it was this whole drawn out thing. Like it was, I don't even remember what he said. Listen, y'all, there ain't no way that's how he felt his first time, because no.
It was too much.
It was too much. I mean, like, you know, he's like, my eyes were open and
I saw
time
everything
stood still.
Brand new.
Now, look, I'm not saying that can't happen when you have a sexual experience, but generally your first one is weird. It's awkward. That doesn't mean it doesn't feel good, but you're not having some like move the earth.
You don't feel positive about it later.
Correct.
You can.
Absolutely.
But it's not, well, and I wrote in my notes, is Jack a creep? Mainly in that part, because I'm like, is this dude just selling her bullshit to get her to sleep with him?
I think he really did feel that. Well, the way the writers wrote it. I mean, like, but also I think that's such a disservice to teenagers.
Yes.
Males, females, and everyone. Because then you have it in your head, oh, well, when I do it, it is going to be like this. It puts a lot of pressure on people.
Right.
And then it puts a lot of like questioning if it's not that.
Right.
Like, what's wrong with me, or what's wrong with them, or did we do it wrong, or did we do this or that, because it's supposed to be this, et cetera, when it takes a while to usually get to a place.
Yeah. Even with like the perfect person, quote
absolutely,
unquote. Like it's still it's like any part of a relationship. Like it has to grow and find itself, and you know, all the things.
And you as a human being, whatever gender you are and whatever sexual identity you have, it takes you a while. Like you don't know when you're 16 years old your body inside and out yet. You just don't.
No.
But anyway, I just thought that was, I don't like that. That is so problematic in all these older movies and TV shows, is they just give this narrative and then you go into sex with all this bullshit in your head. That's not real.
Well, and I mean, it's a little bit different, but like, that's why they honestly say one of the reasons young people watching porn is so bad.
Oh, it is. I was just thinking that,
because
it's not reality.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole host of issues with porn, but like that it does give them this false picture of what like a genuine intimate relationship should look like.
Yeah.
Because it's glamorized.
Well, you have to remember that those are paid performers.
Yes.
Those are paid entertainers.
Correct.
You're not sneaking a camera in somebody's bedroom. Although there is this movement, and now I'm forgetting what it's called. This woman started it. This older woman started it. That is real people. I'm not even kidding. It's like porn for, it's not called porn for real life, but it's something like that.
TM.
I don't know. I'll let y'all know. I'll come back. Please, I don't remember why I know this, okay? But she has like amateur, like normal people film themselves And then she puts it on her website for people to peruse because she wants to have real bodies and real people and real situations in like a sex positive way.
Okay.
Instead of like paid. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with sex work if that's the way you make your money and you're healthy and you're safe. I'm not going to shoot down any workers, but I also think that putting that different spin on it, narrative, if people are wanting to, if you're an adult, let me put it that way. If you're an adult and you're looking for imaging that is reality, more reality based.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And you do have to look at it like that. You know, it's like even just anything in Hollywood where you're like the standards of that.
Yeah.
Of how people look or what their homes look like or whatever. It's like, that's all made up.
It's all made up.
That is all made up.
Yeah.
Like, and so you can enjoy that because the things we like to watch are aspirational.
Well, of course.
Sometimes.
And if you don't want reality, then don't go there.
Right.
But that's why it's dangerous for brains that are still developing.
Correct.
Because then they have it imprinted. Not that they need to go look up real people having sex either.
I know what you mean, though.
You know what I'm saying.
It's setting a bar that's too high. So speaking of the teens having sex,
yes,
the final of montage, we've got the 3 couples. So we've got Jack and Joey. Like you don't know for sure what happens. Maybe having sex, and then Dawson.
You'll find out the next episode.
Okay, because it did say to be continued at the end. Then we've got Dawson climbing through Jen's window and whatever's going on there and getting in bed with her. But then there's Pacey and Andie who are at this bed and breakfast for like the perfect evening. But then it ends with them fully clothed outside holding hands walking away. So you're to assume they didn't. But I guess we'll find out next episode.
You'll find out next episode.
Okay.
Something that Jen did say, though, as we're closing up, Jen was telling Dawson at the end when they were talking, like, intent and motive are what makes sex interesting. And I thought, okay, that's a very deep statement from a 16-year-old. She would not know that yet. But it's very true.
It's so true.
It's very, very true.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
That was a good way to put it.
There's a lot going to happen the next few episodes.
All right. So the next 2 will be 11 and 12.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited. I haven't watched them yet because I wanted to talk about these first.
Okay.
So now we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
So I will be intrigued to watch it. Okay.
All right.
Well, keep listening and keep watching with us if you are. And be sure you review us wherever you listen to podcasts. If you don't watch us on YouTube, go over there anyway and just give us a little subscribe, a little thumbs up. That helps people who do like to watch podcasts on YouTube find us. And join us on Patreon if you haven't yet. And I think those are all the things.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time, guys.
See you next time. Bye.